Hello, everybody. It's Jessica Pullig again. This is May's Supporting Productivity Mastermind, and we're going to get down to business talking about, so I'm going to call it ChatGPT just because that's the one I use, but ChatGPT's brand is like calling everything Kleenex. It's just your AI chats. There's lots of different options out there. There's lots of different things, but we're basically going to talk about how I leverage a very, very basic free version of the chat to get work done a lot faster for me, and essentially how to write and structure the framework of prompts so that it learns about you and it returns what you want it to do, rather than you ask it a question and it gives you the wrong answer, and you ask it a question and it gives you the wrong answer. Let's do it in 2 rather than in 6 is kind of what we're aiming for. So first couple of questions I'm going to ask, and you guys know in any of my masterminds, you can come off mute and ask questions. It's very interactive. You don't have to wait for me to stop talking. Who here has had any experience whatsoever with an AI chat or ChatGPT, who's like actually used it and understands even just what it looks like? So I see most of you have raised hands. Who feels like they can get it to be a functional helpmate and a good assistant most of the time? Okay, I got a couple more hands. Who feels like it's an alien, you don't know how to talk to it? Yep, okay, there's a couple of hands there. So some basic frequently asked questions I get on that, and then I'll kind of move into the framework of the prompts. Like I said, ChatGPT is the one that I use. It's I have the very free package. I don't have the upgrade. I don't pay for anything. I literally just have the free. The only limitation on that is if I'm using it a lot that day, sometimes it will time out with, hey, we can't give you this super awesome, amazing brain. We have to give you kind of the middle level brain for the rest of the day. But beyond that, a lot of what I do is text-based. So I'm having it write agendas, email scripts, marketing copies, newsletter content, blogs. And so it doesn't normally, I don't use it to create images. I've just started using it to actually like create documents. So most of what I do is just having it tell me where I'm trying to go, or organize, or make my thoughts more concise. Or my favorite thing is I have a lot of good ideas up here, but sometimes my English, and especially ever since I was over 40, it doesn't translate well. And so it makes me sound witty. It makes me sound funny. I'll tell it to tell me a dad joke or put a dad joke in, and it'll add that personality to it. But so what I use is a very text-based. I do use the free ChatGPT, and then my 3 biggest tips, and when I go over to the actual chat window, I'll show these to you again. I'll remind you, is go into your settings and turn your history on. Turn on the memory or the history setting. That allows it to remember what you've talked about in all of your chats and start learning and be able to relate back, even day to day or month to month. First couple of months I was using it, I didn't have memory on, and it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So then I'm having to copy and paste out of previous chats. Now it knows all of our chats, all of the threads, all of the information. And then 2 is utilize its file structure. Everybody who knows me knows that I love a good file management system. Use ChatGPT like a file management system. Don't do everything in the same thread. You should have separate chats or separate threads for each kind of topic you're on, because then it's easier to go back and reference. So like I have a ChatGPT that is for support and productivity for my coaching and mastermind business. And each mastermind has its own thread. Each system I'm building has its own thread. If I do a workshop, it has its own thread. If it has a course, it has its own thread. Monty, because my team is in the mountains in Colorado Springs, Monty, my ChatGPT for the team, has a thread for like bios, has a thread for the value prop and the mission statement, has a thread for newsletters. That way I can tell it, hey, remember we worked on our mission statement. Can you go pull the mission statement to inform our newsletter messaging? And it's not 17 million pages we're having to scroll through and remember. So definitely use your file management. Definitely keep your separate threads. You're not paying to have a limited number of threads. Use them. It's always, like I said, it's free files. Use them. But other than that, that's kind of the main things on that. So I am actually going to screen share, because the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about is the framework and how I have structured ChatGPT over the last 9 months to basically know who I am and know who the business is. And again, I have one for each business, so it doesn't get confused. So I'm going to screen share my little handy PDF / notebooks, but everybody should see framing the prompt, correct? Okay. And I'm not able to see a lot of nodding faces, so we're just going to kind of move this around. Screen share is always interesting because my screen and what I see disappears into tiny little boxes. And everybody knows the big R email comes out after the mastermind, and these this PDF and all the prompt work and everything like that is part of the resources. So you'll get a copy of this to have on your own. But I structured all of my prompts follow a 4-part structure. And it is essentially who I am, who they are, what they should do, and what I should do. And this kind of breaks it down, but basically who I am. You're telling ChatGPT who you are, what in that moment is relevant. So I'm telling it, I'm a realtor, or I'm operations, or what my market area is, what I'm doing. I'm hosting an event. I like dogs. You're telling it who you are. You're giving it history. This is where you can copy and paste reviews. This is where you can have it look at your websites. You can have it look at some of your email. This is where you would give it some of your organic texts and structures and things like that. So you're telling it who you are so it understands your voice. You're telling it who they are. This is 2-part. They is your audience. You have to tell ChatGPT who your audience is, because your messaging for first-time home buyers is going to be wildly different than your messaging for team agents who need training, than your messaging for sellers who don't want to do a price reduction. So you have to tell it who the audience is, and then you have to tell ChatGPT who it is. Is it operating as a realtor? So is it going to have that ownership voice that it's going to be coming from the realtor? Is it operating as your assistant? So it's giving you information and updating, and it's going to put it in your voice. Is it operating as a ISA or your VA? Is it like, what is its role? So it knows how to structure the way it's talking when it gives you back the information. So that's who I am and who they are. It's defining what kind of way we're going to hear about them. Hold on just a second. Somebody's stuck in the waiting room. Okay. So then the next section is the meat and potatoes of what ChatGPT is going to do. So what they should do, that is what you want your audience to do. Do you want them to respond to a MOFR? Do you want them to do a specific call to action? Do you want them to feel confident? Do you want them to feel motivated? Do you want them to book a meeting, make a phone call, click on something in your newsletter? What are you trying to actively get your audience to do so that it has a direction? Because everything is always leading back to a conversation and some way of getting them into a transaction or a referral state. So what are you trying to get them to do? That's prompt section 3. And then the 4th section of framework is what should I do? And that's basically, as the agent, what am I having to do? Am I creating a newsletter? Am I creating a text structure? Am I creating a follow-up plan? Am I designing a course? Do I need a meeting agenda? What is me as the agent? What am I doing with all of this information that ChatGPT is going to make quick and assist me with? And so you frame your prompt around those 4 pieces, and you will get a much better first pass at what it is you're trying to achieve, other than just going into ChatGPT and say, make me a meeting agenda. It has no idea who you are, what you want, and what you're supposed to be talking about. So that is the prompt framework. And I'm going to be jumping back and forth between the screens a lot with that. So any questions? Any ahas, well, okay, yeah, I do that, or I only do half of that. And this is time to kind of talk about the section I just laid out about how to set the prompt up.
I like the way you structure it. Oh, sorry, Blanca.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I like the way you structure it, Jessica, because I tried to do something similar, but if you follow the structure that you're providing, that would always gives us exactly what we want. Instead of going back and forth for a long time.
Mm-hmm. And what I've found is on the operations side, those first two are very critical for me because sometimes I'm writing as Tulio, but sometimes I'm writing as the team, but sometimes I'm writing as myself. And so if I always go back to that structure of who I am right now and who needs to be talked to, ChatGPT does a lot better. It stays within the framework. It uses my vocabulary. It uses what it's learned about our team. It uses what it knows about our business. And it keeps our messaging very brand centric, but it helps identify how it needs to be structured. Because if you've never noticed, Tulio calls everybody he really loves brother. I do not. I say y'all a lot though, and Tulio does not. And so having those first two sections really help define what it's going to sound like, and then getting very, very clear about what it is you want. Again, it comes back to, if you were to be handing this off to a real live living human assistant, would you tell them, I want a newsletter? Or would you tell them you want a newsletter with X amount of sections with this kind of content geared towards this? Why are you not telling AI a descriptive paragraph about what it is you want, so that you can refine it and tweak it? I always come up from a place of, if I give it more information and it comes back way too long, there's a little word called make it concise, and it will get shorter. It's a lot easier to tell it to make it concise than it is to tell it to elaborate and make it longer. So what do you got, Blanca?
So if I understand correctly, all this telling who am I and who AI is, it is kind of in the profile of the system, like if you're creating kind of an avatar. That's my first question. The second one is, because I usually, let's say, for different subjects, let's say not only for first-time buyers, but I ask them sometimes to do a flyer because I have an open house or whatever. When I'm telling them who the audience is going to be, do I include in that profile the different type of scenarios or users that or audience that I'm going to be sending in order for them to know? Or is when I am actually writing the note, that is when I tell them that? And because like you said, I create different, during the day, I can have different subjects. I can see that, but I don't know, let's say, how to go back into that same subject to continue. You see what I'm saying? So I'm kind of confused as to, I know that I tried to one time to do a personality as to who he was. And I even asked him, how do you want to call? How do you want me to call you? Because I call it chat. And he say, I think that I mentioned it to you, Noma or something. He gave a weird name. He said, because it's cool. That's what he responded.
Yeah. So I heard three questions in there, Blanca, so I'm going to address them as I heard them. So I have built, again, I've been using it for 9 months. So my ChatGPT, through all of my different threads, kind of knows who I am, who my business is. Just found out with the update that came through a couple of weeks ago, there's actually in the settings where you can build in, it like asks you, like, what do you want me to call you? What do you want chat to call you, the user? What do you want? Like, tell me a little bit about your business. Tell me a little bit about your thing. What kind of, it will have you pick words to describe your tone and things like that. So building its foundational knowledge can be done through that setting, or it can be done through just a single thread of, this is who we are all the time. What I'm talking about in this framework is, for this specific task, this specific product, I need to know what I'm writing as. Am I writing as a realtor? Am I writing as I'm inviting you to, like, the person inviting you to client events? Am I writing as the person who is trying to get a newsletter? Am I writing as your real estate expert? And so it's literally a line of like, okay, you know, this is the market, this is the thing, this is kind of that. And then each task you're asking it to do should have a specific audience. So you should have one thread that's like, hey, my audience are first-time home buyers. There we go. Hey, my audience is first-time home buyers. I need this product. Or, hey, my audience is neighbors of my listing. I need an open house flyer for door knocking. Hey, so that's where the framework comes in. There's 2 different places you can define who you are and who they are. But I always go back to at least one sentence in that framework every single time you ask for a product. And then when I go over to my chat window, I'll show you where all the threads are. And yours might look similar, and then you'd be able to click on the threads and rename the threads so that you can kind of see. If we were talking about this earlier in the day, I can go back to it rather than opening a new window. And just remind me when I go switch over to my chat window, I'll show you that. Any other questions about the framework? Any other ahas or anything like that? No. Okay, so I'm going to show you some prompts in action. I've designed some prompts. And again, you're going to get a copy of this PDF. I'm going to share it again because I just switched it. Everybody goes really small. Okay, so you should see now the types of prompts. What I have experienced, and again, real estate is so similar and yet different for every single market, every single agent. But what generally I notice is prompts fall in one of three types for real estate professionals. They're either some kind of marketing prompt. I'm trying to get some kind of message for some kind of call to action out to some kind of client. Or they are a systems prompt. I need to build this system or this checklist or this workflow or this follow-up. Or they are a growth prompt. I need somebody to coach or mentor me on this topic so I can grow my business. And so these are just some examples of how to structure those prompts in that 4-person framework. So I'm going to use the top one because 9 times out of 10, this is what everybody goes to ChatGPT for. It's marketing content. So obviously the purpose of a marketing prompt is to generate engaging marketing and have them do something, have them do some kind of move for a call to action. So an example prompt using that 4-part framework is, who am I? I'm a real estate agent in Colorado Springs who helps move up buyers. Who are they? You are my content assistant writing an email newsletter with a personal but informative tone. So you're telling ChatGPT who it is. I did not get very deep on the audience because it's using our default audience that it knows roughly who our prospective client pool is, that it's mostly military buyers, first-time home buyers, and people making their first or second purchase. And then the third part of the prompt is, what do you want them to do? What should they do? I want my readers to feel inspired to explore upgrading their home this year. And then what should I do? Which is the fourth part of the prompt. Write a short newsletter introducing the idea of selling and buying in today's market with a call to action to book a free strategy call. And so that prompt is only 4 or 5 sentences, but it follows that framework. And then that's where you can start, and it will kick back what it is you need. And then you can refine it and retool it from there. Any questions on that? And I asked that, but I can't see if any of you raised your hands because I can't see there we go, everybody. Anybody have questions of how to actually structure the prompt? No. Does that make sense to most everybody? Most everybody's shaking their heads yes. Okay. And then, like I said, it covers all 3 prompts, alternate uses of those prompts. You're going to get a copy of this PDF, so not a problem. And I think it doesn't like me. So now if I can get a volunteer, somebody who wants to have my ChatGPT answer one of their questions, one of their needs using this prompt structure. I'm going to put it in my ChatGPT. But who wants to tackle something? Who wants to be my guinea pig? Y'all, I will volunteer somebody. And Tara, I see you are not making eye contact with me. What do you got, Latasha? You get to go. No, you raised your hand. Too chicken.
Oh,
Come on, guys.
sorry.
There you go. There you are. Okay, Latasha, what do you want to tackle today?
Can I buy a house after bankruptcy?
How to buy a house after bankruptcy?
Yes, first-time home buyer.
First-time home buyer. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to share again. I got to keep switching my share windows. So I want to make sure that I have that. Okay, so you guys should now all see my ChatGPT. Is that correct? It's not in your heads. I can't tell.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this was a chat that I'm working on. So I want a new chat. So here's a new chat. This little button up here creates a new chat. You'll see all my chats are here and labeled, and they're all separate, and they go back for about 6-9 months. So then what are we going to help you with? First and foremost, because this is my business coaching chat, I have to tell it that we're doing a test chat so that it doesn't incorporate whatever we talk about into my personal knowledge. So this chat is Charlie. It is a test chat for my class. Please assist, but don't remember. I can't type. Please assist, but don't remember the content for my business. So I'm telling it what to do. So basically, Latasha, okay, first things first, who are you? In one sentence, Latasha, who are you?
Real estate agent.
Okay, what area of the country are you in? Where's your-
I'm in North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay. Who is this task directed towards? Like, who's your audience?
First time home buyers.
Okay, what is ChatGPT's role? Do you want it to be do you want it to put its marketing hat on? Do you want it to put its workshop hat on? Do you want it to write, like, what kind of product are you doing so it knows what kind of hat to put on?
Trying to engage with new buyers.
Okay, so is this content going to be a newsletter entry, a blog entry, an email body? Kind of ultimately, what do you want the product to be?
It's going to be for social media.
Okay, so that would be social media posts.
Yes.
Okay, so you'll real section 1, who am I? I put I'm a realtor in North Carolina. Section 2, who are they? My audience is first-time home buyers. Section 3, or continue section, you'll be my marketing assistant. So it tells them to get in their marketing mode. Section 3 is what should they do? Latasha, what do you want your audience to do?
To become educated around bankruptcy and buying a home.
Okay. So what is your MOFA or your call to action? Can they book a meeting with you, make a phone call, register for a workshop?
Call, email, DM for more information. Yeah.
Okay, I want my prospective, because these are prospective clients, not repeat clients, right? You want new people.
Right.
I want my
Correct.
prospective clients to email or call me about education on buying after bankruptcy, correct?
Correct.
And then what should I do? It doesn't like when I don't spell correctly. It's also a reason why I like technology. I don't have to know how to spell bankruptcy. Then what should I do? Please build me. So what is the type of post and what is the frequency of post you'd like to see? Like, is this Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it like what kind of social media do you want to post?
Facebook.
Please build me Facebook posts. And then what frequency? Do you want 2 in the next week? Do you want 10 in the next month?
Doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know.
No, it's fine. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I'm trying to make sure that I'm triggering people's minds of like, this is how detailed you can get the prompt to be to give you back what you want. So it's like, let's please build me Facebook posts on a frequency of 5 in the next 14 days. Building, I'm going to put FOMO in there because I don't want to type it all out. Building FOMO and urgency to capitalize on motivation. Okay, so we've told it who it is. We've told it who I am, who they are, what they should do, and what I should do, which is basically asking it for the product. So let's see what it gives back. How many people are used to getting pages of information when they put a prompt in? How many people are used to getting 1 or 2 words and feeling frustration? So it's giving me a post like, here's what's the tagline of the post? What's the tone of the post? It gives me an image idea of what kind of graphic I can put with it. It even puts it in with the emojis because it's a social post, and it will give me post. It will tell me what day to post it on, and it's everything like that. Again, it will help me put it into Canva. It'll help me put it into my calendar and my schedule. It'll even tell me if you need it to. I know Blanca uses this all the time. It's like, hey, give me the instructions on how to make this actually end up in my schedule, or how I need to actually do this. It will tell you that too. But it just spit out 5 posts. Now you're the human. You have to drive the bus. You need to read the post and make sure that like it's linking to the right stuff. It says the right thing. It sounds like a human. But I mean, I completely took it out of our market, and I gave it something new to do, but I followed the prompt work. And I got what I asked for, and now I can retool this. And if you want, Latasha, I can totally email you this thread, like the link to it, so you can see what the heck it spit out and if it works for what it is you need.
That would be great. Thank you.
So, any questions on what we just did? Because I literally was trialing it in real time. No, everybody's being quiet. If you're quiet, we don't get that far in. I'll send you home early. Which I guess is not a threat.
Whoa.
No. So that's how we structure the prompt. Why does the prompt work? Because you're detailed. You're telling it what to do. You're giving it information. It's not having to scour the entire internet to figure out what social media you're referring to and some abstract portion of some real estate topic. You're telling it exactly what it needs to know. You're leveraging your chat AI to do the fast thinking for you and the fast copywriting for you. But you're still using your brain to guide it. You're still making it personable and relatable to your market. Do you have a question, Catherine? Is it Catherine?
Yes, I just have, so what I did was I created a chat just for my business, and I fed it all the information, like what my name is, all that good stuff. And I constantly use that thread for just my business. And I find that it remembers a lot more.
Mm-hmm. And so that comes back to a preference of file management, because you basically, that thread is telling it who you are and having it build your business identity. If you've got memory on, you should be able to say, knowing who I am or referencing that chat, do this task if you want your actual tasks to be separate. I use it so frequently that if I put everything for my business in one chat, I'm literally in there like for 6 different tasks each day. I would never know where anything was. But by keeping it in the chat, it tends to be able to pull faster from that chat than it can from other chats, but it does know enough to go grab the other chats if you have memory turned on. But I like that aspect, because this is how you get it to give you a bio update. Like it comes to award season, or you've given a presentation, or you've earned some other thing. You drop that in, and then you say, hey, take my old bio, take this new information, rewrite my bio, and it'll rewrite your bio. Take the last 12 months worth of newsletters. This is what I want to focus on for the next quarter. Give me new newsletter topic content. And so it's building on what you have to get where you want to go, but it's always coming back to that framework of who and what. Any other questions about that? No? Anybody else want me to try the magical chat GPT on your topic? I don't mind doing it. So one of the other downloadable resources that's going to come out is what I call the Realtor Prompt Pact. And so it's other example prompts in those threads, the systems thread, the marketing thread, or the growth thread. My favorite growth option is feeding it in our reviews and our feedback and my disc personality and my learning style, and basically be like, hey, what's my mission statement? What's my value prop? What is my messaging tone? And building that because I use that to basically color and inform everything else. My personal supporting productivity coaching business is fundamentally rooted in the 4 E's. That's engage, equip, empower, and educate. So everything that Charlie spits back to me falls in that framework because that's the foundation that I built my business on for systems and coaching and implementing and things like that. And so I can just tell it, hey, retool this in the form of the 4 E's, and it will update my messaging. It will include those 4 words because those 4 words are part of my branding. And it will retool all of my messaging to how each of those fall into those categories. So it's a very powerful tool if you get it to know who you are. And using this framework helps teach it who you are, and spit out all of those information. They also included some of my key tone words, like what kind of tone I want it to have. And then I included some of my favorite phrases that I use. So once I've mastered the 4-part framework, I've started adding in phrases of like, okay, and then this is the efficiency piece. This is I want you to make this checklist. I want you to do this. And so all the framework in there. Nothing tells you the ChatGPT understands you when you say, hey, what are my top 5 favorite things in this vein? And it spits back out. And it's just like, you like structure and organization. You make everything bullet points. Yes, I do. And it's like, you like this, you like that. You use this word. Your favorite word of the day is retool. I use retool a lot. That's how I have it refine and revise when I need it. Just like, okay, I liked where you went with this, but that's not what I wanted. Can you retool and do this instead? Who's had issues with refining? When you get something and it's not quite right and you need it to redo it or retweak it, who has issues in that vein of getting it to revise into something that's usable? I see Hannah raising your hand. You want to elaborate a little bit, Hannah? See if we can troubleshoot any of that?
I can't think of an exact example, but sometimes I guess when you ask it to tweak it, I think part of it though is that I have not followed these prompts. So these have been really useful. So I understand I probably am starting too big and then trying to get it to tweak where I'm not giving it like the audience and that kind of stuff. So really, I think you've answered it in what you've taught us.
Okay. One of the things, so the framework is always the most simple. You guys know I start with the basic. If you're not doing this,
Right.
This is where you start. And then I go to the
Right.
middle level. It's like, okay, once you've got the 4 pieces of framework, then you can start adding, and that's the efficiency piece I add on the end, where it's like, okay, I already know I want this to be a training manual. So once you've done all of this, I want you to remember that this is the kind of style I like the training manual in. The higher level is, I will take a lot of my vision and ideology from, it's like, okay, I was posting things on social media, or somebody was asking me a question, or I've done coaching, or I've got stuff in other masterminds. And so I still put I still use the 4-piece framework, but in certain sections, I will go through and be, so literally, I knew I wanted to talk about databases next month on the mastermind, but I had no idea what. Database is my favorite thing in the world. I wanted to talk about databases. There was a question I love James Shaw and his pivot shift community. There was a question about, what should we talk about for the next month? And I'm like, the database, we should talk about the database. And I got really in my mind of the database should be telling us who to call. We want to talk to people. The database should be talking to us. It is a CRM, a customer relationship management system, for a reason. And so somebody was like, well, please elaborate more. So I wrote out our process of how our database talks to our team, because I have it so segmented and organized. And thus Mastermind for next month was born. And so I'm like, okay, well, cool. I know my ChatGPT can put that together a lot faster than I can. So I took everything I wrote on social media, I copied and pasted it, I put it back in. And so in that very first line of who I am, it's like, this is everything I brain dumped today. And then I went on to the next section of the framework. And so there's nothing saying that each of these frameworks only have to be 1 sentence. If you want to give it a whole bunch of information, or if you want to pull it from somewhere, or if you have notes from a mastermind, or if you pull something from a podcast, you can use that to inform in the who I am section. You're like, if you have a specific framework or specific style or structure, or if you want it to look at a PDF or another Canva design, you can put that in the what should I do section 4. I want it to look like this. So there are ways to plus that section up, but my ChatGPT knows the minute I say this is a mastermind topic and I give it the topic, it knows I'm going to ask for 6 things. And so I'm like, run the mastermind playbook. That's what I call it. And it knows what those 6 things are, and it just starts chunking through. And so I have a chat running in the background right now that is literally writing next month's mastermind. I wrote this month's mastermind last week. All the stuff you're going to get, all the documents, all the pretty that you see, everything like that, I wrote in about an hour. And which is why I can do these while I'm also working full time as a director of ops. So there are ways to plus up the system. There are ways to organize and define it, but you've got to start somewhere, and you always want to start with more detail. Oh, wait, Elizabeth's got a question. Yep. So do you have any other questions, Elizabeth, other than the fact that it was working better for you? Your refining is working. So when I try to treat ChatGPT like a human, I'm like, okay, he either gets 1 response. So my absolute favorite script across the board is you have 3 options. I try to approach everything with 3 options. And so with ChatGPT, they either completely missed the mark, they're either on the right track, but they're not quite there, or they nailed it. And so when they spit something back out, I give them one of those 3 responses of, this isn't quite what I wanted, let's try again. Or this is almost what I wanted, can you fix this section, and next section? Or yes, this is exactly what I want. And then it normally asks me if I want to move on to the next step, or it suggests things or products that we could build, or what the next piece is. So kind of building that into your refining as well. If you tell it what you like and what you don't like, and rather than just giving it carte blanche to rewrite the entire thing, that generally helps your revisions and your retoolings. Another one of my favorites, especially in the growth section, is once I have a topic, or I have a newsletter concept, or I have a blog, I ask it to give me thought prompts, open-ended questions about that topic, which helps with if we're doing like goal setting meetings on the team, or it helps with what do I need to build into training manuals or SOPs to gather whether or not the knowledge has been captured, whether or not that training was effective. If you ask it thought prompts about your blogs or your newsletter posts or your email bodies or your checklists, that will give you content for open-ended questions for your script and role play when you call your client. It's like if you wrote a blog and you sent it out there and you're like, okay, well, what might they ask me? How can I relate it to real estate? It'll give you a list of questions that you can ask, that you can build into your conversation framework. So don't forget to ask it for questions. Say, hey, if I wanted to have a conversation around this, what would my conversation look like? And it will give you things to ask, or things to reflect on, or things to consider. So don't miss out on that growth component. Did you have a question, Jeannie?
Yeah. How do you, I've been playing with OpenAI, but I don't think it's in any one place. I don't think I set up an account. So because I love how you've got it organized, so you can go back to it and make it more. So like I actually did do one thing that came out right. So I know there's hope for me, but for the most part, I'm a train wreck. So I think this will help me understand what was different about the one time I got stuff out good, and the other time where it was like, I don't know who they're talking to, but it didn't, didn't relate to me. So anyway, so like, I'm like looking at it now. So do I go into the Google account? What's the best way to do it, I guess, is my question.
So ChatGPT allows you to register an account. Because our team is entrenched in Google Workspace, I just logged into the ChatGPT through our Google account. So my Google user. It also, I'm a total Google person. Like our team's in Google Workspace. My business is in Google. It has its own Google Workspace. My browser is Google Chrome. And so I know when I open in that user and I go to ChatGPT in that user, it's synced to that user, it's synced to that business. It's much easier for me to switch back and forth. But if you create an account, whether you're linking it to an email and a password, you're linking it to a Google, you're linking it to whatever, if it lets you do a Facebook type login, that's how I set it. And then that's what I set the memory and turn on so that every time I go back to it, I'm logging in as the same user. So it's remembering who the heck I am and all of my chats are showing up. Does that answer your
Okay.
question?
I think so. So staying with the Google it's through KW then, because I use my KW. And then it will keep it all together for me, and I can always go there. And then it'll relate to me it'll get to know me as a realtor. I mean, I could tell it, but it builds from that knowledge base of
If you put it all in the
activity.
same user, it will build that knowledge base, yes. And I always caveat, I love Keller Williams, but at KWs do weird things when it comes to Google. They're Google based, but they're not Google compatible on everything. So don't ever come back and yell at me and be like, hey, my Google didn't do this and you said it would. It theoretically should. I'm not guaranteeing that it always does. So
Okay.
Any other
Fair enough.
questions or any other comments? Was this helpful? Yes, what you got, Hannah?
So when you log in, you can make those folders, because I've never done that either, where you have the different files. It automatically does that for you, or did you toggle it to do that where you save it with the title?
Okay, give me just a second. Let me go back into here. So this is, again, chatgpt.com. You'll see that it's on my, this user I can tell is on my supporting productivity Google user. And so it logs in as me. I went to settings and I went to personalization and I turned on memory. So that's where you hit memory in ChatGPT for that particular user. But once I'm logged in each time as the user, then these are all chat threads. So I just picked a new thread and it will pop the new thread. And so it kind of pulls something off the first line, but I can rename these. I can rename them, I can delete them, I can archive them. And so you'll see like, this is mastermind number 9. This is mastermind number 10. This is the exercise we just did with Latasha. I'm about to start hiring out project work for realtors on a basis. So this is all of the networking and all the content for what that looks like. I just did my link tree because I went to Elevate conference. So this is how helping me figure out how to design my link tree. I run a DOO small group community called the Dynamic Dozen. So this is all the framework about Dynamic Dozen. So each thing has its own spot so that I can always go back, and I literally will tell ChatGPT when I'm talking to it on something of, hey, go look at the Dynamic Dozen chat and pull this information, or using information from that chat, inform this chat. If I don't think it's gonna read all of the chats and find what I want, I will actually reference them by name. So, but I don't think it won't remember them if you're not signed into a user account. Like if you haven't created an account and keep going back to that account every single time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Latasha, what do you got?
Yes. So I've been using ChatGPT for a while, but I know I've been using it incorrectly after this exercise. So my question for you is, how can I now get my ChatGPT to know who I am, to understand, like to compile everything I've already done to kind of create a personality around me, if that makes sense?
Okay. Do you have access to everything you've ever fed into it, or are you starting over from scratch?
I have everything. Yeah.
Okay. So if you've got it open and you've got all your stuff in the user, it first and foremost is your memory turned on so that you can make sure that it's remembering as you're feeding into it. And then ideally, I would basically from this day forward, I would just create a thread and just, it's like fundamental who I am, and pick and choose whatever you want to feed into it so that it knows who you are as a real estate agent. So like, how long have you been in the business? Where do you operate? What's your niche? What's your volume? What's your GCI? What's your units? Like all that stuff. What brokerage are you with? What communities are you in? Kind of build who you are, and then start working from there. You can also do that. Like I said, I literally just found this morning when I was double checking that I knew where the share permissions were, but this is new. This was not there 6 months ago when I started. There's this customized ChatGPT button on this version. So what should you call me? What do I do? What traits should your ChatGPT have? And then what should it know about you? you can also build all of that basic foundation in there as well. And then that will inform all of your chats moving forward.
Thank you.
So again, I didn't know that was data tool this morning, so I learned something today too. What do you have, Tara?
So first off, this is genius. Thank you for posting about it. And sorry it's taking me so long to get on it. My question for you is, can you link? So for example, we have the Cromford report in Phoenix where every Wednesday we get together and it goes through each area. Is there a way to link that information to ChatGPT? I also have Whoozy.ai and I believe you can link in there, but I haven't played around with it yet.
So the short answer is yes. If you have PDFs or Word documents, they can be read. If you have website links, they can be read. If it's audio, it takes it a bit. It's having trouble figuring it out. And so what I do is I can either attach the file or I can send it a link. If it's an email, I'm not 100% sure. Again, I work on an entirely basic free version. I know the upgraded version has a bunch of bells and whistles, but I don't need it to do what I don't need it. And I'm very, very frugal and cheap. So I've been able to feed it websites, or I've been able to copy and paste pieces out of like our reviews, or I've been able to, it can't figure out some of our social media because it's not connected. But I've given it like screenshots and things like that, and it has pulled information out. And so it should be able to collaborate with those. I just don't know how well it will collaborate depending on which one you use, because I don't have experience in that. So anything else? I love this, you guys. It saves me so much time. And if nothing else, it makes me sound like I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about, but because I'm very DC. I know that in the pivot community, we've been talking about like our strengths and weaknesses and our dispersonalities, but I am to the point, don't have time for a lot of extra fluff. And I love a spreadsheet. Like there's so much DC that there is no S or I. And so when I get super excited about something, I want to tell you about it for an hour. I'll just talk about it ad nauseum. And it's really helped me in creating a voice for marketing, creating a voice for, you'll notice on that, one of the things I wrote is, can you make this simple so that anybody can understand it? Because half the times I'm talking over our clients' heads and I don't mean to be. And so that's one of the modifier phrases I have. And one of the other modifier phrases I use is, can you make this more concise? Because I talk a lot. And so being able to just even tweak my knowledge that I want to get out there into a way that is receivable by your clients, by your teammates, by other people, even if it takes the same amount of time, you're going to get a better impact. You're going to get a better response. And what does that save you in the long run from having to retrain, recommunicate, retool all of the stuff that you're currently doing? So in the delegation phase for us, because again, I'm a director of ops, I've got 2 operation personnel underneath me, and I work with anywhere from 5 and 8 agents on my team, and upwards to anywhere between 15 and 40 agents collectively kind of in community helping out along the way. And so being able to switch between all of that seamlessly and get the information out there and communicate on a level that everybody can comprehend saves me time in the long run. I don't have to do it twice. So I'm going to let Blanca talk, but I am looking at my messages, see if there's anything in the chat that needs to be addressed. What do you got, Blanca?
Yes, I don't know if you're going to speak about this later, but I even write it when I register. The only thing that I have not been able to get to do, and there was one time that I was so annoying, and to the point that I got angry, and I was so that I started cursing at her. Okay, it was when I'm trying to do a graphic, and I wanted to create like a flyer or something like that and use my image, and even asked me, okay, upload your picture. And I did upload my picture. But when it came out, man, there was one that I even looked like a man. So I said, you're wrong, redo it again. And I was like talking to a person. And I said, do you understand? I mean, this is wrong. This is not me. And even though he promised me, okay, I understand you're frustrated, Blanca, and you want to use your own picture, and I'm not going to change it. Boom, they go and change it. Is there any way that I can actually make them that if this is my picture, I want to look like my picture. I don't want to be an avatar or another. In that day, I was so angry because I couldn't get it to do it, no matter how many times I told him. Is there any way that that can be done? Because I have not been, no matter what I tell it, English or Spanish or Italian. No way.
So first things first, I don't generally use it to create graphics because I have my marketing assistant that is a whiz in Canva, and I normally send it to graphics. So I don't have a lot of experience in getting graphics for it correctly. But second, what I think may be happening is ChatGPT, like they're overly cautious. They know a lot of things, but they're overly cautious about not copyright infringement. So even if you give it a picture, it may not be able to verify that that's a picture that you have copyright to. And so it's not going to just take the picture and put it directly into the flyer because it doesn't want to get in trouble for taking things that aren't actually yours or theirs, which is why it may keep trying to redo it or rechange it or tweak it a little bit. What one solution may be is there is ways to connect it to other platforms. So like Canva or things like that, where you can create and just drop in your actual photo. So what you might want to start doing is, hey, can you decide on what it looks like? Can you write a prompt for Canva? Because Canva has its own AI. And say, can you write a prompt that I can put in Canva to generate this image, and then put that Canva in Canva AI to generate the flyer, but in Canva it's editable. So if your picture isn't right in Canva, then you can drop your actual picture in Canva rather than getting a PDF where you don't look like you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
So that would be my stab in the dark, because again, I don't use it to create images. I'm very text based and text heavy because I'm writing copy a lot of times, and then I'm handing it off to delegating it to the person that's going to actually make it all pretty and post it. So anything else? Was this helpful? I feel like we didn't talk that much, but I feel like everybody's been kind of following along. So I'm always excited to come with a little bit of knowledge and helpful. And again, I like when I learn things. Every time I have one of these masterminds, I always learn something, like one little thing, which makes my life a lot easier. So I appreciate all of you being here. And don't forget that the Big R email goes out. My girls are in competitive gymnastics, and so will go out on Friday, but no later than Monday. And the Big R email, because I'm always trying to build expectation and reliability. The Big R email always stands for recap, replay, resources, and registration. So that's what'll be in there. It'll be those PDF copies, that Realtor prompt pack bonus that I talked about, the link to the replay, because this is on YouTube, so you guys can watch it at any point in time, as well as the registration for next month. And again, as of this morning, next month, we're talking about how to have your database organized so it tells you who to call every day and why, how to see the trends in the matrix. So I will let you guys go a little bit early so that I can transition back to other things. I appreciate you all being here, and you can call, email, Facebook message, or text me if you have any questions between now and next month. I'm here for you guys, and most everything I give away for free. I'm an open book. So I will see you. Have a great rest of your, I almost said Monday. It's not Monday. I meant May. Brain and English sometimes just don't work. So guys have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.